This video was a request from Chaos Catriano 7 and another on what if Pan was Goku's daughter. No, we're not getting that crazy with it before you ask, with Pan being the child of Goku and Chi-Chi. Regular viewers may wonder why this is happening, when I've already done a scenario on a female Gohan. But the difference here is his equivalent would have Pan's personality of wanting to test the limits of her natural talent as soon as she can, with enthusiasm to the skill that may even surpass Goku's. Though Chi-Chi would likely give her a different name, we'll still call her Pan for simplicity. Despite Chi-Chi's protests with the suspension of the Tenkaichi Budokai no longer making martial arts as profitable, she yields in that there may still be some sort of exercise career for Pan. With how strong Gohan was able to become with honestly fairly ignorant teaching on Piccolo's part for a year with limited battle experience, a Pan given more thorough ki cultivation advice by Goku would end up with a battle power of around 3,000 or 4,000 by the start of Z, and even better at Bukujutsu than Goku at that point. Sparring with her would also vastly aid Goku, despite lagging far behind his more talented daughter, being around 2,000 at his full power. Obviously, Raditz is quickly beaten with him taking the opportunity to flee once Goku would warn him to do so, with Piccolo stealthily doing so too when seen any further time near a Goku far beyond his expectations would serve no advantage. Raditz tells Vegeta of his failure, with Vegeta seeing it as confirmation Raditz is no longer of any use to him, and threatening to get rid of him if he were to return to the squad in shame. Piccolo was nearby enough to hear part of this conversation, with the call distracting Raditz from detecting him. Piccolo then offers Raditz the opportunity to team up, both seeing this as the better option to fulfill Piccolo Daimao's will, and understanding of Raditz's loss of purpose as they train to surpass Goku. Kami views this and informs Goku of this development. Goku isn't too fazed with how talented Pan is, and having the time to request brief reverse engineer the attack ball early as they start their gravity training. The Earthlings, minus Yajirobe, also all partake in this too, but take a very long time to get used to the gravity, with Kakarot revealing Raditz knew of the Namekians. He eventually talks to Piccolo of that species, which gives Piccolo a lot to think about when it comes to his identity. After around a year, Piccolo and Raditz agree to start the fight, with Raditz attacking the western capital and swiftly bring out Goku and Pan, Piccolo hoping the battle will leave the others fatigued enough for him to strike a Makanko Sappo. Despite Piccolo being far stronger than normal, and Raditz having reached Nappa's level, Pan has made such an effective sparring partner that Goku still holds a significant advantage over both, with Pan stopping any attempts Piccolo gives to charge up his ki. Raditz is once more put in the corner, with Goku telling him to give up his evil ways and take a purer approach to Shugyo in order to become a rival to him, with Raditz relenting when no longer having a purpose, and telling Goku the entirety of his situation. Piccolo recommends they explore the universe and prepare to defeat Freeza one day, interested in learning of Namek, and his time with someone so biologically close to Goku having caused his goal of killing Goku to have weakened, even if not to the same extent as Gohan did. Goku and Pan are excited to do so as Raditz pilots the capsule ship, and the four quickly become accustomed to higher levels of gravity. With the Senzu being divided between them, they don't progress as much as Goku did on the way to Namek, but still manage to master 50 times gravity by the time the Senzu run out, with them instead focusing on honing their use of ki after this. After 6 days, they reach Namek, taking the time to learn of their culture as well as of the Saichoro. Only Goku and Pan are deemed worthy enough to have their potential unlocked, with the Saichoro deeming Raditz and Piccolo's intent as still being far too clouded, but he eventually relents when Goku vouches for both not being as bad as they used to be, and that he'll take responsibility if they put their power to nefarious use. Seeing the danger in this mission, a Namekian healer is also brought with them, who I will call Mollis. 100 times gravity is easily conquered through this, and the group each gain battle powers more or less on the level Goku was when he fought Freeza, except for Pan, who is stronger by a significant amount. They then start their campaign of attacking the bases of Frieza's army on multiple planets to draw him out. Nappa and Vegeta are sent to deal with their former ally, and are easily beaten, but with Goku making sure their lives are spared and convincing them he has enough power to overthrow Frieza. Each of Frieza's elites are quickly dealt with, even with Ginyu's body change, which goes a similar route as usual, except with Raditz making sure Ginyu doesn't have another chance to use the technique. Frieza is eventually forced to deal with this himself, and the overconfidence of Raditz causes Frieza to get into his true form and eventually take the lives of all the full-blooded Saiyans, causing Pan's rage to transform her into a Super Saiyan and completely erase Frieza before he can think of destroying the planet. Piccolo paid enough attention that he can navigate the ship back to Namek, where he requests the use of the Dragon Balls to revive those Frieza killed. The Saichoro telepathically contacts Kami and tells him to gather those on Earth to make the wish, with the group then returning to Earth, including Mollus, who realizes how much his skills would be needed by those with such constant battles. Cold comes near Earth earlier than usual and attempts to destroy it from orbit, but Pan is able to sense and counter his attack quick enough. As peaceful days return to Earth, Bulma and Yamcha inevitably break up, but with Raditz becoming the target of Bulma's feelings rather than Vegeta. Speaking of whom, Vegeta and Nappa still stay on Earth attempting to use the same method as Raditz to surpass him once more. Goku succumbs to the heart virus, spurring Pan to spend time training with Raditz and assure they can defend Earth, and teaching her uncle as best she can on how to become a Super Saiyan, both competing in the 24th Tenkaichi Budokai to support Chi-Chi, which Pan wins. A few days later, when 17 and 18 awaken, Pan is able to hold her own against the pair, and the addition of Raditz has Pan defeat the two without any casualties. Seeing Raditz strive so far angers Vegeta enough that he can become a Super Saiyan, and challenges Raditz after they are both healed. Though Raditz still ends up the victor, everyone aspires to become far stronger to try and avoid relying on Pan alone, with Kami and Piccolo fusing years later when Kami senses the end of his lifespan approaching, and appoints Mollus as his successor. Pan doesn't enroll in Orange Star High School, instead founding a dojo in the West Capital to support her mother and teach others ki cultivation after having gained enough of a following through her Budokai win. This causes her to try and gain the champion title a second time, with Raditz deciding to enter too, which leads to Vegeta wanting to enter, and everyone who would be invited normally doing so. Pan also spars with Trunks, who, despite being weaker than usual without Goten to play with, is still a Super Saiyan and far stronger than Pan, beyond Pan having no emotional investment in Videl being beaten by Spopovich, though still wishing to have her healed from such injuries and Kibito doing so before their match, and their match obviously not having Pan show off with Super Saiyan 2. The events before Babidi's ship go the same as normal, other than Kuririn not being confident enough to join them when having not genuinely aided them in the Z era. Dabra's power is something the group is utterly unprepared for, with them having no choice but to flee as they visit Mollus to see if he's capable of unlocking Trunks' potential as Saichoro could, and Shin wishing they could have used the other method. When telling them he can't, Popo instead informs them of the Room of Spirit and Time, with Pan and Raditz entering and mastering the Super Saiyan form quickly, before both manage to achieve the extra step of Super Saiyan 2. With this, Babidi's ambitions are easily foiled, while Vegeta tries and fails to surpass Raditz in his trip on his own. Nappa easily wins the Battle Royale, with Pan taking the title when the next one is held a few years later. Before that, more motivated to not be helpless against unforeseen threats, Pan takes note of Shin's other method after reviving Kibito, with her going to the Kaioshinkai and eventually getting her potential unleashed. For Super, Beerus still wakes up, with the criteria of the Super Saiyan God being possible, with Bra being born 2 years earlier than normal here, without any sort of catharsis for Vegeta to be considered pure-hearted, leaving only 4 candidates on Earth. The Dragon Balls are used to bring any pure-hearted Saiyans to Earth, which transports both Tarbell and Broly. Pan is made the Super Saiyan God, and given permission to be tutored by Whis. Beerus also decides to have Broly join them, when acknowledging his great power power even without God Ki, and he does so, gradually learning to control his emotions. He also requests to have his father be brought to Earth from Vampire, with Paragas having to tolerate Vegeta's presence. Sorbet decides to invade Namek rather than Earth, but Nail wipes out Hi, Tagoma and Shisami, with the events with Abo and Kador having already occurred to remove them from his backup. It's when Whis' students return to Earth that Paragas orders Broly to get revenge against Vegeta, but Pan argues against blaming a child for their father's deeds, especially when Broly and Paragas couldn't be more different. This convinces Broly to become more independent from his father's orders and get very close to Pan, eventually having a romance blossom. The Universe 6 tournament eventually occurs, with Universe 7's team being Pan, Raditz, Broly, Vegeta and Piccolo, Monaka not being a relevant motivator here. Pan essentially takes Goku's place here, but with Vegeta's lack of godly tutelage at best causing him to have a double KO against Kaba, and Broly easily defeating Hit once Pan decides to forfeit. Zamasu's Zero Mortal plan has him become Pan Black, and avoid the Dragon Team learning of his existence, but it's only a matter of time until the Daishinkan or Zeno find out about him. With Pan very motivated to fight those of other universes, the Tournament of Power still occurs, with the Universe 7 team consisting of Pan, Broly, Raditz, Nappa, Vegeta, Piccolo, Kuririn, Henshinhan, Utenroshi, and Trunks. Raditz being more willing to have him enter the tournament than Vegeta was, when having trained him far more thoroughly. Broly's power being more controlled and well utilized, through Pan teaching him how to become and master a Super Saiyan, makes him a valuable asset in winning, though it's still a difficult event due to the only others who can face the top tier opponents being Pan and Raditz, as well as Jiren's ki control still having him last long against Broly. Having started a relationship, Pan and Broly visit Whis far less. They are thereby able to fight the Gammas, which is an easy win, alongside Orange Piccolo, with there being no Cell Max to extend things after Magenta is dealt with. In time, they have a child who I'll simply call Goten. Nappa eventually sees himself as old enough to retire, and Vegeta eventually lets go of his desire to surpass Raditz, with how the latter's experiences have always kept him a step ahead. Cell would eventually be unleashed years later, this version holding the cells of Goku, Piccolo, Pan, Dabra, and Shin. Knowing 17 and 18 are gone, Cell attacks Capsule Corporation while Pan is away, draining a life extract from Raditz, Kurama, and Trunks, before stealing the Dragon Radar, suppressing his ki, and swallowing the Dragon Balls as he gains them to hide their signal, in case Buruma had created the second radar. They quickly gather the Dragon Balls and wish for 17 and 18 to be revived next to them, with each step using up all 3 wishes. Pan quickly finds Perfect Cell, but the combination of updated genetic data from her most recent battles, Dabra's magic, and Shin's paralysis leave Pan at a disadvantage. For the sake of tying this into a non-super scenario too, we'll also say Broly is away on Beerus's planet at the time. Pan comments that things would be different if she only had more time to prepare for this, which prompts Cell to have the Cell game. Thoughts on a trip to Namek are ruined when learning Cell damaged what capsule ships were there, causing the next step to be Pan and Piccolo entering the Room of Spirit and Time. Raditz uses his one-day pass to return and help out. Pan faces Cell and has surpassed their power, with Cell's techniques keeping things even. Pan uses her ki efficiently, as Goku did on Namek, in order to have greater stamina than Cell, and taunt him into using a full power Kamehameha as an opportunity to counter with her own and destroy Cell completely, while commenting on how she wishes she could fight someone so talented as a friend. This and Cell's general threat level prompts Enma to reincarnate them quickly, though not as an Oob substitute due to the age discrepancy. For the super continuity, Whis helps restore the damages with a trip to Namek, though the loss of Raditz is more permanent in the GT scenario, in which case Pan's desire to improve herself has her sparring with Vegeta in the Shinden when Pilaf tries to get the ultimate Dragon Dragon Balls, him instead blurting out how he wishes his plans with the Dragon Balls could go right for once, causing the wish to be used, even if deposed as kin fairly quickly. Pan and Vegeta head to space with a new ship Bulma made. A Pan who utilised her potential far better than Gohan is able to make the trip far easier, but with Baby still coming to Earth. With nobody making a suitable main host there, he bides his time until the group return from space to fully control Vegeta's body, with even Pan being backed into a corner. Having never lost her tail, the plan to make her Super Saiyan 4 moves far quicker than with Goku, with Shin being the one to help her gain rationality, with her far greater potential limits than Goku. Even Golden Ozaru Baby is helpless against her, and the threat is quickly dealt with, before Piccolo makes sure this is permanently so with his sacrifice. With Earth's Dragon Balls having been lost too, along with any blueprints of a ship capable of getting to Namek, the evil dragons aren't a threat to worry about. Earth's explosion unleashes Boo, but Pan easily deals with him. Pan then dedicates herself to preparing the next generation to learn about ki cultivation, and assure their new Earth, once called Planet Sufru, will remain in capable hands, particularly with a student and former enemy that would appear years later. It's in this scenario that we see how one more talented than Goku, with a similar Shugyo mindset, would prove a worthy successor when moulded by the right experiences, as well as how a major start and lead would affect the focus of Vegeta's goals. Thank you for having watched through this What If. Be sure to watch this playlist of older ones, request your own in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss them or any new videos. With that, I'll see you later.